Welcome back to Bluebook. If you happen to watch our first episode, then you know all about how the algorithm works. But now the question is, what does YouTube actually want? What does it pay attention to when it's deciding which videos to promote? Listen, it all comes down to just 3 basic metrics that can make or break every single one of your uploads. Good news is, Brian's got a couple of tricks to help you cheat those metrics just a little bit and boost your chances of success. I'm Brian Smith, and this is Algorithm Hacker. Are you ready for a little slice of truth that YouTube's never gonna tell you? What the algorithm wants changes all the time because it's actually all just to serve the big why of YouTube. See, it collects a cosmic buttload of data, sure, and all those metrics do affect video performance. But right now, it's really just 3 metrics that account for 99% of how the algorithm makes its decisions. That won't always be true, which is a great reason to subscribe to this channel because we're gonna keep things updated as they change. But for now, what is the big why behind the way the algorithm works? That, my friends, is the single greatest motivator since apes invented chest pounding. Say it with me, folks, money.
I got my money.
Hey, don't call me I'm a grown man.
That's what they want to do. They want to make money. And that's why they want whatever it is they want at any given time. The reason I mention this isn't because I'm jaded or even cynical. Hey, listen, we're fans of making money here at Bluebook. I hope to make some soon.
I work too hard.
This whole channel is about making content creation into a sustainable career. The reason I mention the whole money thing is because it makes it a lot easier to understand what the algorithm is designed to evaluate when you look at it through the lens of money, and even more specifically through the lens of advertisers. That's where YouTube makes its money, same as TV, right? So YouTube has to set a price on every single ad that it runs. Instead of saying 50 bucks, what YouTube does is actually charges a variable rate for each ad. Let's say you want to run ads for your lederhosen company. Maybe you don't have a big budget. You just want it to run again and again and again, anywhere you can get it shown. Great. YouTube has some channels for that, but maybe you want to pay a little more for your ads, but you want them to be shown to professional yodelers. And not just any pro yodelers, you want the pro-yos that will stare at your ad for as long as possible, as often as possible, and hopefully at the end of it, buy some great lederhosen. Surprisingly, YouTube has channels for that. I've checked them out, they're great, but it's gonna charge a lot more for those ads, as it should. So no matter what they say, the thing YouTube cares the most about at the end of the day, all these metrics are the ones that allow them to charge the most to advertisers. That's it. Thanks, capitalism. And the data totally supports this, by the way. Last I checked, the most disliked video of all time was that 2018 YouTube Rewind video. It has 19 million people giving it a thumbs down. They literally communicated to the platform, "We do not like this video." So then why did YouTube allow that video to get 217 million views? If the quality of that video was what they cared about most, all those dislikes would correlate with the video not being served. But that wasn't the case. So instead, take my word for it. Well, YouTube's word actually, since they openly encourage creators to maximize these next 3 metrics. They just aren't so open about why to maximize them.
I got my money.
Currently, the only 3 metrics that really matter to YouTube are click-through rate, audience retention, and session time / watch minutes, which kind of go hand in hand. So let's break them down, yeah? Click-through rate, or CTR, is the new kid on the block these days. Remember when I said the algorithm is always changing? This is a great example. You can actually see people searching for YouTube click-through rate scored an average interest rate on Google Trends of 0 from as far back as the data goes all the way to January 2019. And then suddenly, just as Lil Nas X was riding in on the Old Town Road, YouTube click-through rate takes off in search, because word was spreading that this algorithm was pivoting to favor this new metric. What is it? It's actually not that new at all. It's about as old as websites are. And basically all it means is that when YouTube places that bet on you, did it work? Did you get the click? Look at all the videos in the sidebar while you're watching this video, or down below if you're on mobile. All of those videos are ones that YouTube has placed a big bet on. By the way, please don't go watch any of them just yet, because if you do, you're gonna hurt one of my metrics, but I'll explain that later. Anyway, stay with me. Now, all those videos being bet on over there, they're currently getting 1 impression. An impression just means that YouTube showed it to you, but only one of those videos can actually earn that sweet click. That click-through rate is the percentage of people that click on the video once they get that impression. So that's always gonna be a pretty low number, but it actually represents a huge win if it gets that click. Of all the videos that YouTube bet on, sent impressions out of, the video that you clicked on beat all of those. It wins in that moment. Remember, this is huge for YouTube too, because sure, the videos are competing against each other, but YouTube overall is competing against you signing off the website.
Goodbye.
Babe, wait. Babe, wait. Babe, wait. Babe. fame.
So you clicking on that video kept you on YouTube. So now YouTube is gonna serve that video even more often because it's more likely to keep people on the website. And don't worry, we're gonna make multiple videos about maximizing this and the other two metrics, but for now, I'll put it very simply. There are only two things YouTube shows you about a video before you watch it: the thumbnail and the title. Think about what titles work on you and what thumbnails make you click. Those won their little competition and earned that click. Heck, this video you're watching right now, we technically won you over based on the thumbnail and titles. So just ask yourself, what makes you want to click on a thumbnail and what titles get you the most excited to watch? That right there, that's your answer for maximizing click-through rates. Side note, of course you're thinking about clickbait right now, and you're not wrong. And while I think responsible clickbait can be somewhat okay, after all, we're all just fishing for views. The truth is, clickbait or not, the next two metrics actually prevent clickbait from being rewarded unchecked. Though if you remember the days of boobs in the thumbnail, you'll know this wasn't always the case. Audience retention is one great check and balance for clickbait. If you are baited into watching a video because you think it's gonna be about one thing, and then as soon as you get there, it's about something totally different, you're gonna hit eject right away. That's gonna be terrible for audience retention percentage for that video, meaning there's no way YouTube is gonna recommend it to anyone else. But before you start thinking audience retention is there to protect you from the clickbait meanies, remember what we learned earlier. It's about money, 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 money. The longer the audience is retained, the longer they're exposed to the advertisement on the video. Maybe an ad to download a mobile game, or maybe a promoted video for an upcoming movie. But YouTube can tell advertisers, hey, we're gonna charge more for this channel because your ad is gonna be in the field of view for at least 50% or 90% of the video's length. Now imagine if you paid millions of bucks to have your ad placed on a mega huge channel, but people usually only watch about 1% of the runtime. Well, that's a big old waste of money. So now you see the reason why audience retention is so important. But finally, the last big metric to focus on: session time and also minutes watched. Now these are very similar, and sure, they both relate to audience retention, but they're definitely their own thing. Think about this for a second. You upload an hour-long video and the average person only watches 6 minutes of it. Well, that's a 10% audience retention rate, but that's also 6 very real minutes of being exposed to advertisements. Meanwhile, if you upload a 3-minute video and it has a 100% audience retention rate, that sounds great in theory, but that's still only half as many minutes of the viewer being exposed to the adjacent ads. So YouTube highly values how many cold, hard minutes your viewers' eyeballs are spending glued to that screen. The difference between minutes watched and session time is that a single video can only be watched for a limited number of minutes. Now you might think that that number is the same as the length of the video, but here's a little YouTube trivia for you. Because people can watch a video at slower than 1x speed, or because they go back and they
rewatch certain parts of the video,
you can get more watch minutes than your video has length, and even more than 100% audience retention. But still, that number isn't gonna compare to the amount of session time that the viewer is hopefully accumulating. Session time refers to the amount of time that someone arrives at YouTube, stays there before exiting to go check Twitter, or whatever else they do. So because YouTube doesn't exactly have any particular allegiance to your video over someone else's, it doesn't really care if that session time comes from all your channel or from a whole bunch of channels. Now that might sound like kind of a cold, callous, bad thing, but actually if your video started that session and they watched 10 hours of videos on other channels afterwards, the algorithm still gives your video a little bit of extra credit for starting that 10-hour watch sesh. So earlier when I said, please don't go watch those other videos just yet, it wasn't because I was worried about it affecting our session time or was freaking out that you didn't like me, but rather the minutes watched of this video as well as our audience retention rate is important. Now after this video, I personally would prefer if you watched another one of ours, but actually go watch as much YouTube as you want, because as long as you stay on YouTube, that data input is a positive correlation for YouTube. So the output will be keep betting on this video. Okay, so I think you now understand a lot more about what the algorithm is, how the main parts work, and most importantly, why it does what it does.
Bring me my money.
The next step is gonna be about learning how to maximize each of those metrics in order for the algorithm to take those bets on you more and more. And that's why I'm serious about saying you should subscribe to this channel. That's one of those algorithm correlations that's been exposed over the years. Remember how watch time is one of those top most important metrics? Well, there's a massive correlation between people who click subscribe for a channel and how many minutes they watch of that channel's videos for. Okay, pop quiz here. This is a question that summarizes a lot of the different points I've brought up throughout the video to this point. Let's say you have a brand new channel. Is it better to have a video that gets 1 million views or a less viewed video that gained you 1,000 subscribers? While you think on that, I'll tell you what I'm really excited for you guys to check out with our upcoming videos that are all about maximizing those 3 metrics that I was sharing with you. Also, I'll let you know that we do live YouTube coaching on our Social Bluebook Discord. You can get us to talk about your channel, go over what's working, what's not, and best of all, it's free advice directed right at you. Just follow the Discord link in the description for that. Okay, back to the quiz. Ready for the answer? 1,000,000 views or 1,000 subs? Well, the truth is 1,000,000 views would feel pretty dang good, especially for a new channel. But if you're a brand new channel, you actually won't get paid by YouTube for those views. And you also don't have enough consistency for YouTube to be betting on your next video is gonna be as good as this last one that got the 1,000,000 views. Meanwhile, those 1,000 subs, that's now 1,000 more people that are gonna max out your metrics on each upcoming upload. I already explained that they're statistically more likely to watch way more of your videos, so higher audience retention and minutes watched. But also, the likelihood that when someone sees the thumbnail from a channel they're subscribed to for a new video they just dropped, they're automatically more likely to click on that thumbnail, meaning your average click-through rate also just got a big bump from those 1,000 more very likely clickers. I've been Brian Smith. See you on Discord.